नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देव्ये गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयामुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. So Srimad Bhagavatam. So today we are going to discuss something from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5th, Chapter 20. So this is the new chapter, and this chapter is entitled The Structure of the Universe. So we are going to cover the first 4 verses, and these verses are in prose form. And of course the translation is also long, and today is also the appearance day of Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu. So we are going to discuss something about Advaita Acharya Prabhu also. So what I'll do, I'll just read verses, translation and purport, and then we'll start the class. Text 1. Shri Shuka Uvacha Ata Param Plakshadinam Okay. So I just read first, second, and third and fourth will recite. Ata Param Plakshadinam Pramanam Lakshnam Sansthanato Varsha Vibhaga Upavaranyate. Translation. The great sage Shukdev Goswami said, "Hereafter I shall describe the dimensions, characteristics and forms of the 6 islands, beginning with the island of Plaksha. Jambudipo ayam yavat pramana vistarastavata sharodadina parivestito yatha merur jamba vakyena lavano dadirpitato diguna vishalena plakshakyena parikshito yatha parika baho pavanena plaksho jambu pramano deepakhyaro hiranyamaya uttito yagnagnirupaste sapta jihustaya padipati प्रियव्रतात्मजा इद्मजिह्वं स्वं दीपं सप्तवर्षाणि विभज्य सप्तवर्षनामभ्य आत्मज्येभ्य आकल्य स्वमात्मयोगिनो परराम." Translation. As Sumeru mountain is surrounded by Jambudeep, Jambudeep is also surrounded by an ocean of salt water. The breadth of Jambudeep is 1 lakh yojanas, 8 lakh miles. And the breadth of the saltwater ocean is the same. As a moat around a fort is sometimes surrounded by a garden-like forest, the saltwater ocean surrounding Jambudeep is itself surrounded by Plakshadip. The breadth of Plakshadip is twice that of the saltwater ocean. In other words, 2 lakh yojanas, 16 lakh miles. On Plakshadip there is a tree shining like gold and as tall as the Jambu tree on Jambudeep. As its roots is a fire with 7 flames, it is because this tree is Plaksha tree that the island is called Plakshadip. Plakshadip was governed by Idmajivha, one of the sons of Maharaj Priyavrata. He endowed the 7 islands with the names of his 7 sons, divided the islands among the 7 sons, and then retired from active life to engage in devotional service of the Lord. So now we are going to read the text 3 and 4, which is written on board. Oh, 4th one is written on. It's together 3 and 4. Okay. So 4th one is written on the board. So what we may do, we may recite together. You may just repeat with me, and then we will go to translation and parapet, and then we'll discuss something from them. Shivam Yavasam Subhadram Shantam Shemamamratam Bhayamiti Varshani Teshu Giryo Nadhyascha Sapte Vabhigyata. So this was the 4th one. Manikuto Vajrakuta Indraseno Jyotishmana Suparno Hiranyashtivo Meghamala Iti Setushela Aruna Nramanangirasi Savitri Suprabhata Ratambhara Satyambara Iti Mahanadhya Yasam Jalosparshan Vidutara Jastamaso Hansapantangor Dvarya Natya Sanghangya Sangyashva Chatvar Varna Sahasra Yugo Vibhu Dyopma Sandarshanam Prajanana Swargadwaram Traya Vidyaya Bhagavantam Traymayam Suryamatmanam Yajan. Okay, so we just translation. So shall we read word to word meaning, Prabhu, also? Not required, no? Translation. Okay. The 7 islands, Varshas, are named according to the names of those 7 sons: Shiva, Yavas, Subhadra, Shanta, Shema, Amrit, and Abhaya. In those 7 tracts of land, there are 7 mountains and 7 rivers. The mountains are named Manikuta, Vajrakuta, Indrasena, Jyotishmana, Suparna, Hiranyasthiva, and Meghamala. And the rivers are named Aruna, Nramana, Angirashi, Savitri, Saptabhata, Rutambara, and Satyambara. One can immediately be free from material contamination by touching or bathing in those rivers. And the 4 castes of people who live in Plakshadvipa, the Hamsas, Patangas, Urdhvayanas, and Satyangas, purify themselves in that way. The inhabitants of Plakshadvipa live for 1000 years. They are beautiful like the demigods, and they also beget children like the demigods. By completely performing the ritualistic ceremonies mentioned in the Vedas and by worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead as represented by the Sun God, they attain the Sun, which is a heavenly planet. Please repeat after me. The 7 island Varshas are named according to the names of those 7 sons: Shiva, Yavasa, Subhadra, Shanta, Shema, Amrita, and Abhaya. In those 7 tracts of land, there are 7 mountains and 7 rivers. The mountains are named Manikuta, Vajrakuta, Indrasena, Jyotishmana, Suparna, Hiranyasthiva, and Meghamala. And the rivers are named Aruna, Nramana, Angirashi, Savitri, Suptabhata, Rutambara, and Satyambara. One can immediately be free from material contamination by touching or bathing in those rivers. And the 4 castes of people who live in Plakshadvipa, the Hamsas, Patangas, Urdhvayanas, and Satyangas, purifying themselves in that way. The inhabitants of Plakshadvipa live for 1000 years. They are beautiful like the demigods, and they also beget children like the demigods. By completely performing the ritualistic ceremonies mentioned in the Vedas and by worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead as represented by the Sun God, they attain the Sun, which is a heavenly planet. purport given by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. According to general understanding, there are originally three deities: Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva. And people with a poor fund of knowledge consider Lord Vishnu no better than Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva. This conclusion, however, is invalid as stated in the Vedas. Ishtapurtam buddha bahuda jayamanam vishvam bibrati bhuvanasya nabhi tat evagnis tat vayus tat suryas tat tu chandrama agni sarva devata. This means that the Supreme Lord, who accepts and enjoys the results of Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, technically called Ishtapurta, who maintains the entire creation, who supplies the necessities of all living entities, Ekubahunam yo vidadati kaman, and who is the central point of all creation, is Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu expands as the demigods known as Agni, Vayu, Surya and Chandra, who are simply parts and parcels of his body. Lord Krishna says in Srimad Bhagavatam 9.23, Yeapya anya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvita teapi mameva konteya yajante avidhi purvakam. Devotees who worship the demigods with firm faith worship me also, but not according to the regulative principles. In other words, if one worships the demigods but does not understand the relationship between the demigods and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his worship is irregular. Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita 9.24, Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha. I am the only enjoyer of ritualistic ceremonies. It may be argued that the demigods are as important as Lord Vishnu because the names of the demigods are different names of Vishnu. This, however, is not a sound conclusion, for it is contradicted in the Vedic literatures. The Vedas declared, Chandrama manasojatas chaksho suryo ajayata Shrutadayascha pranascha mukhadagnirajayata Narayanad Brahma Narayanad Rudra jayate Narayanad Prajapati jayate Narayanad Indra jayate Narayanad Astu Vasavo jayante Narayanad Ekadash Rudra jayante. The demigods of the moon Chandra came from the mind of Narayana, and the sun god came from his eyes. The controlling deities of hearing and the life air came from Narayana, and the controlling deity of fire was generated from his mouth. Prajapati, Lord Brahma, came from Narayana. Indra came from Narayana, and the 8 Vasus, the 11 expansions of Lord Shiva, and the 12 Adityas also came from Narayana. In the Smriti Vedic literature, it is also said, Brahma Shambhustatevarkas Chandramscha Shatakratu Evamadyastatevanye Yukta Vaishnava Tejasa Jagat Karyavasane tu Viyujjante cha Tejasa Vitejascha te sarve Panchatvam upayanti te. Brahma, Shambhu, Surya and Indra are all merely products of the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also true of the many other demigods whose names are not mentioned here. When the cosmic manifestation is annihilated, these different expansions of Narayana's potencies will merge into Narayana. In other words, all these demigods will die, their living force will be withdrawn, and they will merge into Narayana. Therefore, it should be concluded that Lord Vishnu, not Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As a government officer is sometimes accepted as the entire government, although he is actually but a departmental manager. So the demigods, having achieved power of attorney from Vishnu, act on his behalf, although they are not as powerful as he. All the demigods must work under the orders of Vishnu. Therefore it is said, Ekale Ishwar Krishna Arasabhabratya. The only master is Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu, and all others are his obedient servants who act exactly according to his orders. The distinction between Lord Vishnu and the demigods is also expressed in Bhagavad Gita 9.25. Yanti devrita devan, yanti madhya jinopimam. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, whereas the worshippers of Lord Krishna and Lord Vishnu go to the planets in Vaikuntha. These are the statements of the Smriti. Therefore, the idea the Lord Vishnu is on the same level as demigods is a contradiction. to the Shastras. The demigods are not supreme. The supremacy of the demigods is dependent on the mercy of Lord Narayana, Vishnu or Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanam Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha Namom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminati Namine Namaste Saraswate Devye Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati iti namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripa Badhye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhurujjwala Premadaya Sri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaye Namastute Namaste Gaura Shakti Shri Murtiye Dinatarine Shri Rupanuga Viruddha Bhav Siddhanta Danta Harine जय श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन ललिता विशाखा जी की जय, श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम गौर निताई जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय, श्री प्रहलाद देश नरसिंह देव भगवान की जय। नमो गौर किशोराय साक्षात वैराग्य मूर्तिये विप्रलंब रसाम्भोदे पदाम्बुजाय ते नमः। नमो भक्ति विनोदाय सच्चिदानंद नामिने गौरशक्ति स्वरूपाय श्री रूपानुगवराय ते श्री गौरार विभाव भूमेस्त्वं निर्दिष्ट सज्जन प्रिया वैष्णव सार्वभौमा श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। जयतां सुरतोपङ्गोर्मन्मन्दमतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्वपदाम्भोजो शिशिराधामदनमोहनो दिव्यादवृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमद श्रीमद्रत्नागारसिंहासनस्थो श्रीमद्राधाश्रीलगोविन्ददेवो पृष्ठालिभिः सव्यमानो स्मरामि। श्रीमन्रासरसारम्भी वंशीवटतटस्थिता कर्शनवेणुसुनिर्गोपीर्गोपीनाथाय श्रियस्तु नः। तप्तकाञ्चनगौराङ्गी श्रीराधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घिते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं। Hare Krishna. So today we are going to discuss something from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter Canto 5th, chapter 20. This chapter is entitled as the structure of the universe. And also today is a very, very auspicious day. Today is the appearance day of Sri Advaita Acharya. Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu ki jai. Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu Avirbhav Tithi Maha Mahotsav ki jai. Now the Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu is very, very special actually. We can imagine if he would not have loudly uttered that, "Oh Gauranga, oh Krishna, please come and appear and deliver us," then we can all imagine that we would not be sitting here practicing Krishna consciousness. We would be wandering into one of 84 lakh forms of life. And that we can imagine actually. So it's very, very special actually. So we will hear the glories of Advaita Acharya just after a short description from this text verses which were covered in 1 to 4 from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Earlier I was thinking that I will read the glories of glories of Advaita Acharya, and I will narrate in my own words. But I found that it would not be justifiable. Better we read in the language of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami himself and the Srila Prabhupada actually, which himself is very, very enlightening, purifying and inspiring. And of course, the aspects of Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu's life is also covered in two parts. One, who is an Advait Tattva, and another one is a Leela part. So we devotees, we quite often hear about the Leelas of Advaita Acharya. So mostly we'll discuss about the Tattva part from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 6. But after the description, after after description of this Bhagavatam verses. And if time will permit, then we will take some of the Leelas, provided I could remember and narrate it properly. So this chapter is very, very important. This is called Srimad Bhagavatam 5th canto, and this 5th canto, mainly, here this, like the 5th canto, like we have been hearing so many pastimes, especially we heard the background of the descendants of Privrat Maharaj. Then the story of Jada Bharat Maharaj came, and his wonderful instruction to Ravgana also came. And previously, just before to this chapter, we were reading and hearing the importance of glorifying the Lord, and especially the residents of Jambudip, they were glorifying the Lord in chosen prayers actually. Hanumanji was praying, and yesterday Guru Maharaj also narrated and described in a very wonderful way. But the question can come up in our mind, why the structure of the universe is being described in Srimad Bhagavatam. What is the need and necessity? Because the narration is going in between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami, where Parikshit Maharaj is about to die. So, like, better Shukdev Goswami would have told more and more glories and leelas of the Lord. Why he is describing? The two answers, two reasons we can understand, or we can understand as far as our intelligence goes. The first thing is that the human being by nature is inquisitive. The reason is that we all are in ignorance. Why? Because we have accepted this material body as self. The moment a living entity accepts the product of this matter or the material body as himself, he is in ignorance. That is why the Guru is required, and who brings us into light actually. So because of that, constantly there is an inquiry, there is a question of why. So there are living beings here who would like to know what is the cause of all cause, what is the thing which are beyond everything. And the second thing also, just to remind us that how insignificant we are. When we read the description of these different islands and different varishas in Srimad Bhagavatam, we understand how minute we are, how insignificant we are, because this is the biggest obstacle or stumbling block in order to advance in Krishna consciousness. Because we think I am so great, but when we read this, we think we are nothing. And the conception of aham mameti, which binds us into this whirlpool of material world from one life to another life, is the conception that I consider, or ordinary conditioned jiva consider that he is the greatest. But when we read the description, then we understand that we are not the greatest, but we are the smallest. We are nothing in front of this creation. Then only we can be situated in a proper situation, that is called Trinadapi Sunichena Taroreva Sahishnuna Amananina Manadena Kirtani Sadahari. And then only we can develop the qualities of meekness and humbleness. In such a state, one can glorify the Lord and can achieve the true and real purpose of human life, that is none other than going back home, back to Godhead, to revive his original relationship with Krishna in the loving, in one of the mallows, or that is called loving relationship bhakti. Now what about this structure of the universe? Because we know that this universe is called a Brahmanda, Anda, and in which there is a plate called Bhumandala. And in the middle of the Bhumandala, there is a big mountain, there is a golden mountain which is conical in shape, but it is upward down, and that mountain is called Sumeru mountain. So in Vedas we find that description like that: Jambudipe Bharatakhande Bharatavarshe Meru. So this is the description like that: Jambudipe Bharatakhande Bharatavarshe Meru. So we are living in the tract of land which is surrounded by the valley of Himalayan mountains and 3 oceans. This is called Bharatavarsha. But the entire tract of land is known as Bharatakhanda. And why it is called Bharatakanda? Because we know the Privrat Maharaj had 7 sons. When Privrat Maharaj was, once traveling, on his chariot, he divided the entire Bhumandala into 7 islands. And later he gave, one island to rule to his 7 sons. So these descriptions are there. So the innermost, the central pivotal point is Sumeru. It's a golden mountain. And up top of the Sumeru is a Brahma resides. And the 4 sides, there are 4 cities like Vibhavari, and Alkapuri, and these are where Indra, Varuna and other demigods live. So the description is like that. The inner is a Sumeru mountain, and this Sumeru mountain is surrounded by one Dvipa, which is 1 lakh yojanas or 8 lakh miles, which is called Jambu Dvipa. Now this Jambu Dvipa is again surrounded by one ocean, that is called saltwater ocean. So now here in this chapter, Shukadeva Goswami is going to describe about the rest 6 Dvipa. That is why he says that the first Dvipa is Plaksha Dvipa. But actually first Dvipa is Jambu Dvipa, then second is a Plaksha Dvipa. Now the Plaksha Dvipa, in the Plaksha Dvipa there is a big tree which is golden in color, which is called Plaksha. That is why this name Dvipa is named as a Plaksha Dvipa. And this Dvipa is exactly the double the size. It is like 8 lakh miles, so it is 16 lakh miles. And it is surrounded, and this Plaksha Dvipa is again divided into 7 regions, each with a mountain and a large river. So this is the general description, and this is surrounded by saltwater oceans, and this is surrounded by saltwater oceans and 1,60,000 miles. Now if we go ahead, so mainly in the verse 3 and 4, the description of Plaksha Dvipa is given. And this Dvipa is ruled by one of the sons of Maharaj Privrat, whose name is Idmajiha. Now he had 7 sons, so again he divided this Plaksha Dvipa into 7 parts and gave, to rule to each one of his sons. And if we further go, then we get the description of 3rd Dvipa. According to this chapter, it is called 2nd, but if we consider Jambu as a 1st, then it is the 3rd. That is called Shalmali Dvipa. Now this Dvipa is ruled by another son of Maharaj Privrat, that is called Yagyabahu, and which is exactly the double of the size of Plaksha Dvipa. That is 16 lakh miles, it is like 32 lakh miles. Now here the inhabitants worship the Supreme Personality Godhead as a Chandratma. Now the residents of Plaksha Dvipa worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a sun, because we read in the translation 2nd verse, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipped in the form of sun, and their destination is that they go to the heavenly planet. That is why in the text 3 and 4, Prabhupada very vividly and elaborately described the difference between worshipping the demigod and the difference between the worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And fortunately, we are going to read about the Tattva of Advaita Acharya, which also going to describe more about this. So there is no need to cover too much on that point. We'll read it. And if you go further, then there is a called Kusha Dvipa. And this Kusha Dvipa is exactly the double of size, and the personality who is ruling, that is called Hiranyareta. And here this ocean is, this Dvipa is surrounded by an ocean of clarified butter. So this just goes on. Then after that there is a Shaka Dvipa, and which is again, and all these Dvipas are divided into 7 regions, each containing, divided into 7 regions, each with a large mountain and a river. And this Shaka Dvipa is now the personality who is ruling is Medatiti, and this is inhabited by this ocean is covered by the yogurt ocean, and the personality, Supreme Personality of Godhead, is worshipped in the form of Vayu. Then the last Dvipa is called Pushkar Dvipa. Now this Pushkar Dvipa, all other Dvipas are divided into 7 regions, but this Pushkar Dvipa is divided into exactly 2 halves, which is done by the Mansottar mountain. And inhabitants of this island worship the Swayambhu, another feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this island, Pushkar Dvipa, is surrounded by the pure water oceans. Now there is another description is also there beyond all these 7 islands. So now what happens, when we try to understand this, we understand that this entire Bhumandala is a planet, and these are different islands, but it is not like that. These are like concentric. In the middle is a Sumeru, then there is a Jambadip, then there is a saltwater ocean, then there is a Plakshadip, and it is surrounded by, Plakshadip is surrounded by the ocean of liquor, then there is a Shalmali Deep, then it is surrounded by, the clarified butter. Then this is called Kusha Deep. Then there is a, another deep. It is surrounded by, like one more ocean, then Shaka Deep. And then there is a Pushkar Deep, which is surrounded by, the pure water oceans. Then beyond this, there is a Lokalok mountain. Beyond Lokalok mountains, there are two islands also. One is always lighted by the sunlight, and another one is always in dark. And if you go beyond that, the beyond description is also there. That beyond that, between them is a mountain called Lokalok, which is situated 1 billion miles from the edge of the universe. Lord Narayana, expanding his opulence, resides upon this mountain. And on Lokalok mountain, Lord Narayana resides. Now beyond the Lokalok mountain is called Alok Varsha. And beyond Alok Varsha is the pure destinations of person who desire liberations. So we all may read in this chapter and can further expand our understanding. And by reading that, the conclusion which we may derive, that how the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so inconceivable in his potency, and we can understand our position also. So now we go to the next part. So today is an appearance day of Srila Advaita Acharya Prabhu. So actually I am not so qualified. I forgot. I seek blessings of all you all Vaishnavas, so I could speak something about the glories and activities of Lord Advaita Acharya for my own purification. So it is said that the material nature has two features. One is called material cause and another one is efficient cause. And we all know that just to create the material world, Lord Krishna expand himself into Purusha incarnation. And one of the first Purusha incarnation is called Mahavishnu or Karunodakashaya Vishnu, because he is lying in an ocean which is called causal ocean. And like from his pores, unlimited millions and trillions of universes are coming. Some are big, some are small. And again, to inundate that, again to fill that universe, he enters into the form of Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, and the creation goes on actually. So it is said that this efficient causal activities are caused by Mahavishnu, but this material causal activities are caused by one of the special expansion of Mahavishnu, that is called Advaita. So that is why Advaita Acharya is non-different from Mahavishnu. Now one may be surprised actually, why he is called Advaita Acharya? Because his name is so very special. Because he is non-different from Hari, Advaita, that is why he is called Advaita. And at the same time, he propagates the cult of devotion. He preaches the Sankirtan movement, that is why he is called Acharya. So his name Advaita Acharya signifies that he is a very special, that he is non-different from God, Supreme Personality of Godhead, but at the same time he has incarnated as a devotee of the Lord. So this is a very special position of Advaita Acharya. That is why in Shastra we understand that Advaita Acharya is a combination of Sadashiv and Mahavishnu. So when he is in Sadashiv feature, he is the greatest of devotee, topmost of devotee, because according to Bhagavatam we understand Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu, that Shiva is the topmost devotee. And at the same time, because he takes part in the creation aspect, he is an expansion of Mahavishnu. So this makes the position of Advaita Acharya as very, very special, that he is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is an incarnation of the devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So now we are, without wasting much time, we are going to read the glories of Advaita Tattva from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is described in Adi Leela, chapter 6. The truth about Advaita Acharya has been described in two verses. It is said that material nature has two features, namely the material cause and the efficient cause. The efficient causal activities are caused by Mahavishnu, and the material causal activities are caused by another form of Mahavishnu, known as Advaita. That Advaita, the superintendent of the cosmic manifestation, has descended in the form of Advaita Acharya to associate with Lord Chaitanya. When he is addressed as the servitor of Lord Chaitanya, his glories are magnified, because unless one is invigorated by this mentality of servitorship, one cannot understand the mallows derived from devotional service to the Supreme Lord Krishna. Like Srila Prabhupada also in the purport of 3 to 4, he quoted that Ekle Ishwar Krishna Ar Sab Bhratya Jaisa Jaisa Nachaya Tarakare Nritya. So this is also very well and vividly described by the activities of Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu, and in fact all the associates of Lord Chaitanya also. That only Krishna is the supreme object of worship. All other are simply his servants. So we will read. Vande tam Srimad Advaita Charam Adbhuta Chestitam Yasya Prasadat Agyopi Tatswarupam Nirupayet. I offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Advaita Acharya, whose activities are all wonderful. By his mercy, even a foolish person can describe his characteristics. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to the devotees of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Panch shloke kaila Shri Nityananda tat, shloke dvaye kai Advaita Acharya Mahatva. In 5 verses I have described the principles of Lord Nityananda. Then in the following 2 verses I describe the glories of Sri Advaita Acharya. Mahavishnur Jagat Karta Mayaya Srajatada Tasya Vatarayavayam Advaita Acharya Ishvara. Lord Advaita Acharya is the incarnation of Mahavishnu, whose main function is to create the cosmic world through the actions of Maya. So here the Lord Advaita Acharya is an expansion, incarnation of Mahavishnu. Advaitam Harinadvaitat Acharyam Bhakti Samasnat Bhaktavataram Isham Tam Advait Acharyam Ashraye. Because he is non-different from Hari, the Supreme Lord, he is called Advaita. And because he propagates the cult of devotion, he is called Acharya. He is the Lord and incarnation of Lord's devotees. Therefore I take shelter of him. Advaita Acharya Gosai Sakshat Ishwar Yahar Mahima Nahe Jivera Gochar. Sri Advaita Acharya is indeed directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. His glory is beyond the conception of ordinary living beings. Mahavishnu Srashti Karen Jagat Adhikar Tara Avatar Sakshat Advaita Acharya. Mahavishnu performs all the functions for the creation of the universes. Sri Advaita Acharya is his direct incarnation. Ye Purusha Srashti Sthiti Kare na Mayaya Ananta Brahmanda Srashti Kare na Leelaya. जय श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन ललिता विशाखा श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम गौर निताई भगवान की जय। श्री पंचतत्व भगवान की जय। जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। प्रहलादेश नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय। So that Purusha creates and maintains with his external energy. He creates innumerable universes in his pastimes. So just like we get the information in Brahma Samhita, Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga. That Lord Mahavishnu glances over the material nature, and because of that material nature is impregnated and all the living entities come into the material world. So that Advaita Acharya is that glance of Mahavishnu. इच्छाया अनंत मूर्ति करेन प्रकाश एक एक मूर्ति करेन ब्रह्मांडे प्रवेश. By his will he manifests himself in unlimited forms in which he enters each and every universe. से पुरुषे रंश अद्वैत नाही किछु भेद शरीर विशेष तार नाही का विच्छेद. Sri Advaita Acharya is a plenary part of that Purusha and so is non-different from him. Indeed, Sri Advaita Acharya is not separate but is another form of that Purusha. So here it is saying that the Advaita Acharya is non-different from Mahavishnu, because just Mahavishnu is inhaling and exhaling and unlimited Brahmandas are coming out, and again to do creation in those Brahmandas, again this Mahavishnu is entering. And who is that Mahavishnu? Is Advaita Acharya. सहाय करे न तार ललिया प्रदान कोटि ब्रह्मांड करे निच्छाया निर्माण. Advaita Acharya helps in the pastimes of the Purusha, with whose material energy and by whose will he creates innumerable universes. So just like we understood that there are two causes, material cause and efficient cause. For efficient causal, Lord Vishnu takes the responsibility, and for the material cause, Advaita Acharya takes the responsibility. But one should not see the difference in both, because the Advaita Acharya is non-different from Mahavishnu. Jagat Mangal Advait Mangal Gunadham Mangal Charita Sada Mangal Yaranam. Being a reservoir of all auspiciousness attributes, Sri Advaita Acharya is all auspicious for the world. His characteristics, activities and name are always auspicious. Koti Yamsha Koti Shakti Koti Avatar Etalaya Sraje Purush Sakala Samsar. Mahavishnu creates the entire material world with millions of his parts, energies and incarnations. Maya Yaiche Dui Amsha Nimit Upadan Maya Nimit Hetu Upadana Pradhan Purushishwar Aiche Dvimurti Haiya Vishwasrashti Kare Nimit Upadana Laya. Ingredients: Maya, the material energy; Nimitta Hetu, original cause. Just as the external energy consists of two parts, the efficient cause Nimitta and the material cause Upadan. Maya being the efficient cause and Pradhan the material cause. So Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, assumes two forms to create the material world, the efficient and material cause. So here it is mentioned like just the material nature has two aspects, so Lord Vishnu expands into two parts just to fulfill this manifest and efficient cause, material and efficient cause. निमित्ताम शेकरे तेनो मायाते क्षण Upadana Advait Karin Brahmanda Srajan. Lord Vishnu in his efficient aspect glances over the material energy and Sri Advaita as the material cause creates the material world. Yadyapi Sankhya Mane Pradhana Karan Jadaha Ite Krabhu Nahe Jagat Srajan. Although the Sankhya philosophy accepts that the material ingredients are the cause, the creation of the world never arises from dead matter. Nija Srashti Shakti Prabhu Sanchare Pradhane Ishwarera Shakti Tabe Haita Nirmane. The Lord infuses the material ingredients with his own creative potency. Then by the power of the Lord creation takes place. Advait Rupe Kare Shakti Sancharana Ataeva Advait Hayen Mukhya Karana. In the form of Advaita, he infuses the material ingredients with creative energy. Therefore, Advaita is the original cause of creation. So here it is mentioned that Sri Advaita Acharya is the original cause of creation. That is why he is very, very special. And for the devotee especially, we can also understand that he is the one who prayed to Krishna, please come in a very loud and roar voice. Advaita Acharya Koti Brahmandera Karta Ara Eka Murte Brahmandera Bharta. Sri Advaita Acharya is the creator of millions and millions of universes, and by his expansions as Garbhodak Kashai Vishnu, he maintains each and every universe. Sei Narayanir Mukhya Angadvet Anga Shabde Amshakari Kahe Bhagavat. Sri Advaita is the principal limb Anga of Narayana. Srimad Bhagavatam speaks of limb Anga as a plenary portion, Amsha of the Lord. Narayanastom Nahi Sarvadehinam Atmasya Adi Shakila Lokashaki. Which one is 20, na? This 20, na? Sorry. Oh, 23. So this translation, O Lord of the Lords, you are the seer of all creation. You are indeed everyone's dearest life. Are you not there for my father Narayana? Narayana refers to one whose abode is in the water, born from Nara, Garbhodak Kashai Vishnu. And that Narayana is your plenary portions. All your plenary portions are transcendental. They are absolute and are not creations of Maya. So here Advaita Acharya is called Limba, not Amsha. Because Amsha is what? Amsha is an expansion of expansion. Like there is a verse come in Srimad Bhagavatam, Ete Chams Kala Pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swam. So this all Amshas and plenary expansions, they cover a certain aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but not the total, complete aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But here Advaita Acharya is a very special, is considered to be a limb of the Supreme Mahavishnu. So that's the difference. Like Ishwarera Ang Amsha Chidanandamay Mayara Sambandha Nahi Eka Shlok Eka. This verse described that the limbs and plenary portions of the Lord are all spiritual. They have no relationship with the material energy. Now, if you read the teachings of Lord Chaitanya or Chaitanya Charitamrita, we find that we all are the expansion. Everything is an expansion of the Lord. Lord expands into two ways. One is called Swamsha, these are called Vishnu Tattva. And another one is called Vibhinnamsha, that is called living entities, Jiva. So all these Vishnu Tattvas, they have nothing to do with the material energy. So that is why they are treated as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the difference. So Advaita Acharya does not fall into the category of living entities, but he falls into the category of Vishnu Tattva. Amshana kahiya kena kahe tarang amsha haite angayate hay antarang. Why has Sri Advaita been called a limb and not a part? The reason is that limb implies greater intimacy. So why Advaita Acharya was not called an amsha instead of called a limba? Because it implies a greater intimacy with the Lord. Because it is said that this Advaita Acharya is not simply an expansion of Mahavishnu, but he is also an incarnation of the devotee of Lord Chaitanya. And that is why in the beginning of the summary of the chapter, it is like Lord Advaita's glories will be more described when he will be treated as a servitor of Lord, as a servant of the Lord. Because if you see the relationship, Advaita Acharya was a disciple of Sri Madhavendra Puri, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to treat Advaita Acharya as his spiritual master. Now in this respect, there is a very interesting leela that Advaita Acharya generally do not like this, that the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he know that the position of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the source of all incarnations. He is Krishna himself. So he is my master. So how can I allow myself to worship by my master? So it used to pinch a lot to Advaita Acharya, that he was always feeling restless. But because Maryada Bhushan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to set the Maryada, so he was always treating Advaita Acharya is as good as his spiritual master. So one day Advaita Acharya played a trick. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to come to take prasadam at Advaita Acharya's house, and that day he called an assembly of so many transcendentalists, and that day, though he is Advaita means he preaches, he is Advaita and Acharya. He preaches the devotional cult. He preaches devotional service. And this devotional service has nothing to do with fruitive activities and liberation. Generally, we read the Vedic scriptures and Shastras, and in transcendental science also, most of the literature is covered simply with fruitive activities, that is Karma Kanda section of Vedas, and mostly, or on top of that, they talk about, the liberation, the Mukti, the Jnana Kanda section. But Lord Advaita Acharya came completely to diminish and smash this to conception that a living entity, a Jiva, has nothing to do with fruitive activities and nothing to do with liberation. That is why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prayed in his Sikshastak that Na Dhanam, Na Janam, Na Sundarim, Kavitamava Jagadisha Kamiye, Mama Janmani Janmanishware Bhavatat Bhakti. The only aspiration of a devotee is just to remain in the association of devotees and to get devotional service, even though it may birth after birth. And that was also described by Vritrasura also, Narayana Parasarve Na Kutashana Bibhati. So that is the aspiration of a devotee. And the same is Bhakti Vinod Thakur Maharaj is also saying, I don't like to be a Brahma, but even though I became an insect in the house of a devotee, that is even more glorious. So that is the position. It is because of the intimacy Lord Advaita could not restrain himself. He always want to present himself as a devotee, as a servant of Lord Chaitanya. So he called the assembly of transcendentalists, and that day he started preaching about impersonalism. And the way he was, the time he was present, he was preaching, the philosophy of, the philosophy, impersonalism philosophy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, and by seeing that, my God, this Advaita, what is he doing? He is supposed to preach pure devotional service and he is preaching impersonalism. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became so angry, he did not see anything and he started beating Advaita Acharya. By seeing that, everybody started laughing. Even Advaita Acharya also started laughing, because that was a trick played. He wanted, that Lord should treat me like me as his servant actually. And Sita Thakurani also saw, she was the wife of Advaita Acharya. She was like, oh Chaitanya, please stop. He is an old man. Buddha mar jayega. Don't beat him so harsh actually. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in full anger. He started beating Advaita Acharya like anything, and Advaita Acharya, became very much ecstatic, and he started laughing, jumping and dancing actually. By seeing that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also became surprised. Everybody is laughing, dancing, chanting, and then he understood that it was the trick of Advaita Acharya, that he just played that trick so that he can get that kind of reciprocation with Lord Chaitanya. There are many wonderful pastimes. So that is why he is a limba, he is not an amsha, because he has a very intimate relationship with Lord Chaitanya. Mahavishnur amsha advaitra gundham ishwaraya betate advait purnanam. Shri Advaita, who is the reservoir of virtues, is the main limb of Mahavishnu. His full name is Advaita, for he is identical in all respects with that Lord. So Advaita means he is identical in all respects with the Lord. So later, after this chapter, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami will describe about the Panchatattva also, in which he will describe about other aspects also. As he had formerly created all the universes, now he descended to introduce the path of bhakti. So why Advaita Acharya came? Earlier in the form of Mahavishnu, or as an associate of Mahavishnu, he helped in creation. But specifically in the day of Brahma, in the 7th millennium, in the 7th Manvantar, in the 20th Chaturyuga, when the Krishna Chandra came, and just after that Lord Chaitanya came, he just came to assist Lord Chaitanya. And he became the principal cause to invite Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on this earth actually. And if you see, the Indian history, because like if you see the history, then we can say that in 1398, there was a very demon, we can say like that, the Timur, he came from Uzbekistan. The kind of massacre he created, it's just like a demonic act actually. So we can well understand, that the situation was very agitating that time actually. And this Advaita Acharya, like who prayed by seeing, the suffering situations of all other jivas, because that is the symptom of a Vaishnava, that he is a paradukha dukhi. He can't tolerate the sufferings of others. And he said that, oh Lord, I cannot do it. You have to come personally. Jiva nistarila Krishna bhakti karidan Gita Bhagavate kaila bhaktir vyakhyan. He delivered all living beings by offering the gift of Krishna Bhakti. He explained the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam in the light of devotional service. So that is his contribution. He explained Gita and Bhagavatam, but in the light of devotional service. Bhakti upadesha vinu taranahi kar ateva naam haila Advaita Acharya. Since he has no other occupation than to teach devotional service, his name is Advaita Acharya. Why he called Acharya? Because he has no business than to practice devotional service and to preach devotional service. That is the aspiration of every devotee in International Society for Krishna Consciousness also. That is Vaishnavere Guru Teho Jagatere Aar Dui Naam Milne Haila Advaita Acharya. He is the spiritual master of all devotees and is the most revered personality in the world. By a combination of these two names, his name is Advaita Acharya. Jai Shri Advaita Acharya Prabhu ki Jai. Kamala nayanirte ho yate angamsh Kamalaksh karidare namavatamsh. Since he is a limb or part of the lotusite supreme Lord, he also bears the name Kamalaksh. So another name of Lord Advaita Acharya is Kamalaksh. Ishvara Swarupya Pai Parishadagan Chaturbhuja Pitavash Yaicha Narayan. His associates have the same bodily features as the Lord. They all have 4 arms and 4 dress in yellow garments like Narayana. Advaita Acharya Ishware Ramshavar Tara Tattva Nama Guna Sakali Ashara. Shri Advaita Acharya is the principal limb of the Supreme Lord. His truths, names and attributes are all wonderful. Yar Tulsi Jala Yar Hunkare Swaguna Saite Chaitanya Ravtare. He worshipped Krishna with tulsi leaves and water of the Ganges and called for him in a loud voice. Thus Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared on earth accompanied by his personal associates. So it's very special for a devotee that if anyone offers tulsi leaves mixed with Ganges water at the lotus feet of the Lord Krishna can never forget that devotee. So that also we can learn from the lives of like Advaita Acharya, and this is the way he called, please come, please come, please come. यहाँ द्वार कैला प्रभु कीर्तन प्रचार, यहाँ द्वार कैला प्रभु जगत निस्तार. It is through him Advaita Acharya that Lord Chaitanya spread the Sankirtan movement, and through him that he delivered the world. So this is the special beauty of Krishna, that he always want to glorify his devotees. So through Advaita Acharya he propagated the Sankirtan movement. Acharya Gosair Gun Mahima Par Jiva Kita Kothaya Pai Bekatar Par. The glory of and attributes of Advaita Acharya are unlimited. How can the insignificant living entities fathom them? आचार्य गोसाई चैतन्य मुख्य अंग आर एक अंगतार प्रभु नित्यानंद. Sri Advaita Acharya is a principal limb of Lord Chaitanya. Another limb of Lord is Nityanand Prabhu. Now the glories are being described from this verses to next 80 verses, that how even though this Lord Nityanand, who is the Balaram, just next to Krishna, as good as Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he also relishes when he is treated as the servant of Lord Krishna. So here, you know, the importance of Krishna Prema, the efficacy of Krishna Prema, and the importance of servitude of Krishna is mentioned, and how Advaita Acharya also relishes that. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is describing in that. Prabhu Rupang Shri Vasadi Bhaktagan Hasta Mukha Netra Anga Chakrade Astasham. The devotees headed by Srivas are his smaller limbs. So these are smaller limbs because they come into the category of Jiva Tattva. They are like his hands, face and eyes and his disc and other weapons. Ei sabal iya Chaitanya Prabhu Vihar, ei sabal iya Karena Vanchita Prachar. With all of them Lord Chaitanya performed his pastimes, and with them he spread his missions. So we like Krishna Varinam Tusha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parashadam. So these are the Sango Pangastra Parashadam. So Lord Chaitanya came with all his associates, with all his devotees, and through that what he did, he preached the Sankirtan movement for the welfare of all humanity and all mankind and all living entities. Madhavendra Purir Iho Shishya Ei Gyane Acharya Gosai Prabhu Guru Kari Mane. Thinking Sri Advaita Acharya is a disciple of Sri Madhavendra Puri, Lord Chaitanya obeys him, respecting him as his spiritual master. लौकिक लीला ते धर्म मर्यादा रक्षण स्तुति भक्षे करण तार चरण वंदन. To maintain the proper etiquette for the principle of religion, Lord Chaitanya bows down at the lotus feet of Sri Advaita Acharya with reverential prayer and devotion. चैतन्य रे गोसाई के आचार्य करे प्रभु ज्ञान आपना के करन तार दास अभिमान. Sri Advaita Acharya, however, considers Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu his master, and he thinks of himself as a servant of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why? Because the another feature that he is not an incarnation of the Mahavishnu, but at the same time he is an incarnation of devotee, an incarnation as a devotee also. So he cannot tolerate that. And we it's a long purport given by Prabhupada. Sei aviman sukhe apana pasare Krishna dasa hao jive upadesha kare. He forgets himself in the joy of that conception and teaches all living entities. You are servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna dasa abhimane ye ananda sindhu koti brahma sukha nahe tara ek bindu. So this is the beauty of to be the servant of Krishna. The conception of servitude to Sri Krishna generates such an ocean of joy in the soul that even the joy of oneness with the Absolute, if multiplied 10 million times, could not compare to a drop of it. So that is the mellow, to be a servant of Lord, that himself is described by Advaita Acharya. And here Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is describing. Muiye Chaitanya Das Ara Nityanand Das Bhav Samanahe Anyatra Anand. He says, Nityanand and I are the servants of Lord Chaitanya. Nowhere else is there such joy as that which is tasted in this emotion of servitude. Parama Preyasi Lakshmi Hriday Vasati Teno Das Sukha Mange Kariya Minati. The most beloved goddess of fortune resides on the chest of Sri Krishna, yet she too earnestly praying begs for the joy of service at his feet. दास्य भावे आनंदित पारिषद गण विधि भाव नारदार सुख सनातन. All the associates of Lord Krishna such as Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Shuka and Sanatan Kumar are very pleased in the sentiment of servitude. Nityananda Vadut Sabate Agal Chaitanya Radasya Preme Haila Pagal. Sri Nityanand, the wandering mendicant, is the foremost of all associates of Lord Chaitanya. he became mad in the ecstasy of service to Lord Nityananda. Srivas, Haridas, Ramadas, Gadadhar, Murari, Mukunda, Chandrasekhar, Vrakreshwar, ei sab pandit lok parama mahatva, Chaitanya Radas sabai kare unmat. Srivas, Haridas, Ramadas, Gadadhar, Murari, Mukunda, Chandrasekhar and Vakreshwar are all glorious and are all learned scholars, but the sentiment of servitude to Lord Chaitanya makes them mad in ecstasy. Ei mata gaye nache kare attahas, loka upadeshe hayo Chaitanya Radas. Thus they dance, sing and laugh like madmen, and they instruct everyone, just be loving servants of Lord Chaitanya. So this is the nature of Krishna Prem. Chaitanya re gosai mor kare guru gyan, tathapi mor hai das abhiman. Sri Advaita Acharya thinks, Lord Chaitanya consider me his spiritual master, yet I feel myself to be only his servant. Krishna Pramer ei ek apurva prabhav, guru sama lagu ke karyaye dasya bhav. Love for Krishna has this one unique effect. It imbues superiors, equals and inferiors with the spirit of service to Lord Krishna. So the love of Krishna does not make any difference between superiors and inferiors. Ihara pramana shun shastra vyakhyan mahad anubhavyate sudrada praman. For evidence, please listen to the example described in the revealed scriptures, which are corroborated by the realization of great souls. So here Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami said, like, how much is the taste in serving the Lord? Even the Shastras are also giving various proofs. So we one by one, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami will start from Nanda Maharaj, then he will go to Sridham, then he will go to the the residents of Vrindavan, especially the Vraj Gopikas and Srimati Radharani himself. Then he will go to Sankarshan. So we'll just read translation. We will skip those verses. Okay, so we'll Anyera ka katha vraje Nanda Mahashay Tarasama Guru Krishna Arake Nanay Shuddha Vatsalya Ishwar Jnana Nahi Tar Taha ke preme karya dasya anukar. Although no one is more respected elder for Krishna than Nanda Maharaj in Vraja, whose transcendental paternal love has no knowledge that his son is the supreme personality of Godhead, his still ecstatic love makes him, what to speak of others, feel himself to be a servant of Lord Krishna. Teho rati mati mange Krishnera charane, tahar shri mukha vani tahate pramane. He too prays for attachment and devotion to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, as the words from his own mouth give evidence. So Nanda Baba is also praying for the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Suna uddhava satya Krishna amartanaya, teno ishwar hena yadi tomar manelaya, tathapi tahate rehu mora manovrati, tomar ishwar Krishna hoka moramati. My dear Uddhava, please hear me. In truth, Krishna is my son, but even if you think that he is God, I would still bear toward him my own feelings for my son. May my mind be attached to your Lord Krishna. So now I just read translation only up to 80. May our minds be attached to the lotus feet of your Lord Krishna. May our tongues chant his holy names, and may our bodies lie prostrate before him. So here, when Uddhava went to Vrindavan and he saw the situation of Nanda Baba and Yashoda, so by seeing him, he became very much overwhelmed, because Nanda Baba was constantly shedding tears, Yashoda Mai was constantly shedding. But here there is a difference between the love of Devaki and Vasudeva and Yashoda Mata and Nanda Baba actually. That because of his Shuddha Vatsalya Priti, though Uddhava is trying to teach him that Krishna is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nanda Baba couldn't accept it. But still here in this verses is like, even though, oh Uddhava, you says that this Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I am dying to touch his feet and dying for the service of his lotus feet actually. So that is the mellow of servitude. Whenever we wander in the material universe under the influence of karma by the will of the Lord, may our auspicious activities cause our attraction to Lord Krishna to increase. Now he is talking about friends. Lord Krishna's friends in Vrindavan, headed by Sri Dama, have pure fraternal affection for Lord Krishna and have no idea of his opulence. Although they fight with him and climb upon his shoulders, they worship his lotus feet in a spirit of servitude. Some of the friends of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, massaged his feet, and others whose sinful reactions had been destroyed fanned him with held at fence.
Even the beloved girlfriends of Lord Krishna in Vrindavan, the gopis, and the dust of whose feet was desired by Sri Uddhava, and who are more dear to Krishna than anyone else, regard themselves as Krishna's maid servants. So even the Vraj Gopikas, who are embraced by Krishna himself, but they were also desiring to be the maid servant of Krishna. Now the description of queens of Dwarka will come. O Lord, O remover of all afflictions of the inhabitants of Vrindavana, O hero of all women, O Lord who destroy the pride of your devotees by your sweet gentle smile, O friend, we are your maid servants. Please fulfill our desire and show us your attractive lotus feet. O Uddhava, it is indeed regrettable that Krishna resides in Mathura. Does he remember his father's household affairs and his friends, the cowherd boys? O great soul, does he ever talk about us, his maid servants? When he will lay down on our hands the aguru-scented hand. So similarly, next few verses, the queens of Dwarka, they were also praying, like Mother Rukmani. She was also remembering that, when his brother Shishupal wanted to hand over her hand to, Jarasan and other kings, with the help of his brother Rukmi, they wanted to hand over her hand to Shishupal. But even though she was a queen of Krishna, but she was desiring to be a maid servant. And Mother Kalindi was also remembering that when she was performing austerities and penances just to get Krishna's favor actually, but Krishna kindly accepted with the help of Arjuna. And what she claims that I am also the maid servant in Krishna's house, Krishna's palaces actually. So here it is being described by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami that why Sri Advaita Acharya is hankering for the servitude of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or for the lotus feet of the Lord. And again, so this is austerities and now we go to the 80 verse and like some few more verses. Now another, after that, Ananta Brahmande Rudra Sadashiva Ramsha Gunavatar Teho Sarvadeva Avatamsha. Rudra, who is an expansion of Sadashiv and who appears in unlimited universe, is also a Gunavatar, qualitative incarnation, and is the ornament of all demigods in the endless universes. So we understand that in between the material world and spiritual world there is a Kailash Dham, and who is ruled, the predominating deity or Lord Sadashiv resides there, but he also dances in ecstatic love of God. So here the description is there. He also desires only to be a servant of Lord Krishna. Sri Sadasiv always says, I am the servant of Lord Krishna. Krishna preme unmata vival digambar, Krishna guna lila gai nache nirantar. Intoxicated by ecstatic love for Lord Krishna, he becomes overwhelmed and incessantly dances without clothing and sings about Lord Krishna's qualities and pastimes. Pita mata guru sakha bhava kene nae, Krishna pe mere swabhave dasya bhava se kare. All the emotions, whether those of father, mother, teacher or friend, are all full of sentiments of servitude. That is the nature of love of Krishna. Eka Krishna sarva sevya jagatishvar, Aryata sabatar seva kanuchar. Lord Krishna, the only master and the Lord of the universe, is worthy of being served by everyone. Indeed, everyone is but a servant of his servants. And that was also Srila Prabhupada was trying to explain in the purport of 3 to 4 that Ekale Ishwara Krishna, and Advaita Acharya is also trying to explain the same principle to us. Keha mane ke na mane sabe tar das, ye na mane tar haya sei pape nash. Some accept him as whereas others do not, yet everyone is his servant. One who does not accept him, however, will be ruined by his sinful activities. Now here is interesting thing which Advaita Acharya is saying. Chaitanya Radas Mui, Chaitanya Radas, Chaitanya Radas Mui, Daradas Radas. I am a servant of Lord Chaitanya, a servant of Lord Chaitanya. I am a servant of Lord Chaitanya and a servant of his servants. Eta bali nache gai hunkara gambhir, Krishna ke vashilachar haila sustir. Saying this, Advaita Prabhu dances and loudly sings. Then at the next moment he quietly sits down. Bhakta abhimana mula Shri Balarame, sei bhave anugat tar amshagane. The source of the sentiment of servitude is indeed Lord Balaram. The plenary expansions who follows him are all influenced by that ecstasy. So Balaram is an immediate next expansion, and he is the source of all sentiments of servitude. And this Advaita is none other than the expansion of Lord Balaram. तारावतार एक श्री संकर्षण भक्त बलि अभिमान करे सर्व कृष्ण. Lord Sankarshan, who is one of his incarnation, always considers himself a devotee, and the Balram's incarnation Sankarshan, he also considers himself is a devotee of Krishna. तारावतार आन श्रीयुत लक्ष्मण श्री रामेर दासतियो कैला अनुक्षण. Another of his incarnation, Lakshman, who is very beautiful and opulent, always serves Lord Rama. Sankarshan avatar karanabdai तार हृदय भक्त भावना अनुयायी. The Lord Vishnu, who lies on the causal ocean, is an incarnation of Lord Sankarshan, and accordingly the emotion of being a devotee is always present in us. So from Krishna Balaram, from Balaram first quadruplant Sankarshan, then Narayan, from then Sankarshan, and his expansion is Mahavishnu. And who is Advaita Acharya? This Mahavishnu himself, or an expansion of Mahavishnu. Tahar Prakasha Bhet Advaita Acharya Kaya Mano Vakyatare Bhakti Sadakare. Advaita Acharya is a separate expansion of him. He always engages in devotional service with his thoughts, words and actions. So he is a separate expansion, and he engages all his faculties like his Kaya, Mana and Vakya in glorifying the Lord. Now how is it? Vakya kahe mui chaitanya ranuchar muitar bhakta mane bhave nirantar. By his words he declares, I am a servant of Lord Chaitanya. Thus with the mind he always thinks, I am his devotees. Jala tulsi diya kare kaya te sevan bhakti prachariya sab tarila bhavan. So in previous verse he described how he engages his mind and words, now how he engages his body. With his body he worshipped the Lord by offering Ganges water and tulsi leaves, and by preaching devotional service he delivered the entire universe. Prathiviti dharanye Shesha Sankarshan Kaya Vyupakari Karan Karena Sevan. Shesha Sankarshan, who holds all the planets of his heads, expands himself in different bodies to render service to Lord Krishna. Ei sabahaya Sri Krishna avatar Nirantar dekhi sabar bhakti ra achar. These are all incarnation of Lord Krishna, yet we always find that they act as devotees. Ei sabha ke shastre kahe bhakta avatar bhakta avatar pad upari sabar. The scriptures call them incarnation as devotees. The position of being such an incarnation is above all others. एकमात्र अंशी कृष्ण अंश अवतार अंशी अंश देखी ज्येष्ठ कनिष्ठ आचार. Lord Krishna is the source of all incarnation, and all others are his parts and partial incarnations. We find that the whole and the part behave as superior and inferior. Jeshta bhave amshe aita prabhu gyan kanishta bhave anante bhakta abhiman. The source of all incarnation has the emotion of a superior when he considers himself as the master, and he has the emotions of an inferior when he considers himself as a devotee. Now this is description about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Krishna rasamananta aite bada bhakta pad atma aite Krishna bhakta hai premaspad. The position of being a devotee is higher than that of equality with Lord Krishna, for the devotee are dearer to Lord Krishna than his own self. Atma haite Krishna bhakte bada kari mane iyate bahut shastra vachana pramane. Lord Krishna considers his devotees greater than himself. In this connection the scriptures provide an abundance of evidence. Like, oh Uddhava, neither Brahma nor Shankar nor Sankarshan nor Lakshmi nor even my own self is as dear to me. Krishna samya naetar madhurya swadan bhakta bhave karetar madhurya charan. The sweetness of Lord Krishna is not to be tasted by those who consider themselves equal to Krishna. It is to be tasted only by the sentiment of servitude. Shastra siddhant vigyane anubhav muda loka nahi jane bhavera vibhav. This conclusion of the revealed scripture is also the realization of experienced devotees. Fools and rascals, however, cannot understand the opulences of devotional emotions. Bhakta Bhava Angikari Balaram Lakshmana Advaita Nityananda Shesha Sankarshan Krishnera Madhura Rasamrita Karepan Sei Mukhe Mat Kichu Nahi Jane An. Baldev, Lakshman, Advaita Acharya, Lord Nityananda, Lord Sesha and Lord Sankarshan taste the nectarian mellows of the transcendental bliss of Lord Krishna by recognizing themselves as being his devotees and servants. They are all made, and that happiness they know nothing else. Anyera Chukare Apane Shri Krishna Apna Madhurya Pane Haile Sarupam. What to speak of others? Even Lord Krishna himself becomes thirsty to taste himself of his own sweetness. So similarly, he tries to taste his own sweetness, but he cannot do so without accepting the emotions of a devotee. Therefore, Lord Krishna accepted the position of a devotee and descended in the form of Lord Chaitanya, who is complete in every respect, and he tastes his own sweetness through the various emotions of a devotee. I have formerly explained this conclusion. All the incarnations are entitled to the emotions of devotees. There is no higher bliss than this truth. Now just simply just 6 verses and we are going to end, this like Moola Bhakta Avatar Shri Sankarshan Bhakta Avatar Tai Advaita Gan. The original Bhakta Avatar is Sankarshan. Shri Advaita is counted among such incarnation. Advaitacharya Gosair Mahima Par Yarungkare Kaila Chaitanya Avatar. The glories of Sri Advaitacharya are boundless, for his sincere vibration brought about Lord Chaitanya's descent upon the earth. Sankirtana Pracharya Sabe Jagattarila Advaita Prasade Loka Premadana Paila. He liberated the universe by preaching Sankirtan. Thus the people of the world received the treasure of love of Godhead through the mercy of Sri Advaita. Advaita Mahima Ananta Kepare Kahite Sei Likhiye Shuni Mahajana Haite. Who can describe the unlimited glories of Advaita Acharya? I write here as much as I have known from the great authorities. Acharya Charane Mor Koti Namaskar Ite Kichu Aparad Nalabe Amar. I offer my obeisances 10 million time to the lotus feet of Sri Advaita Acharya. Please do not take offense at this. Tomara Mahima Koti Samudra Agat Tahara Iyata Kahi E Bade Aparad. Your glories are as fathomless as millions of oceans and seas. Speaking of its measure is a great offense indeed. Jai Jai Sri Advaita Acharya, Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Arya. All glories to Sri Advaita Acharya, all glories to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and superior Lord Nityananda. So this is more and more glories we may read from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So in conclusion, actually we should all seek the mercy and blessings of Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu in order to advance in devotional service and to relish that what is the beauty of to be a servitude, to be remain in the servitude of Krishna Prem. Sri Advaita Acharya ki jai. Please forgive me. Jai. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, शिल प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।